A very good morning and a warm welcome to all the students of class 12th political science once again to the online classes here. Students, I hope you had a very good vacations, you have enjoyed a lot, but along with it, I hope you had managed your time properly and you have given sufficient time to your studies as well. And also, as you know, I had given you a project work. I'm hoping for the very good results from you, as you must have put all your efforts to make such a project. And also check the submission date please, and submit your project work on time and take the clear pictures of each and every page. Also keep your file safe and intact, as once the school reopens I shall be collecting your files. And today we shall be moving on with our syllabus further, and that is chapter number 7, security in the contemporary world. So students, now I'm going to start the chapter for today, that is chapter number 7, the security in the contemporary world. The meaning of security I shall be telling you further in this chapter, but before the security, this word particularly contemporary, I have already told you the meaning of contemporary world politics or the contemporary world in the very first chapter. Contemporary world means the time period after the Cold War, and that is after 1991, the period and the politics and the circumstances going around the world after 1991, that is after the finishing of Cold War, that period is called contemporary. So what is security in the contemporary world? So this is the part 1 of this chapter 7. And first of all, I'm taking the meaning of security. Security implies freedom from threats, either external or internal. What do we mean by security? When we are free from any threat means danger, or Hindi we can say khatra. Whenever we feel free from any threat or any danger, whether it is internal or external. Internal and external in the sense, if this is a country, some dangers we are facing from outside world and some are internal problems. When we are free from any sort of threats from external world or the internal place, that is called a position or a situation of security. So security implies freedom from threats, either external or internal. So first of all, in this chapter, before moving on with the details, I have prepared a small chart for you, because this chapter is bit complicated. You need to understand the flow chart, that step by step which parts we are going to study and which particular topic is having how many parts, and how under these parts what are the subtopics. So starting in this chapter, we shall be studying kinds of security. If we have understood the meaning of security, security implies freedom from threat, either external or internal, when we are safe, okay, from dangers. So what are the two? There are two type of securities given in your book, that is, here I have written kinds of security: traditional security and non-traditional security. Traditional word, you know, ancient, old style, what was the ancient type of security, and non-traditional security is the new challenges coming up to the world after 1991, after 1990s. What in this new period, what were the concepts and challenges the world was facing, that will come under non-traditional security, and traditional security will focus on the traditional methods of security. So under this traditional security, we shall be studying two parts, external and internal. So you can see the subparts, these are the subparts and these are the subparts. Under external, we shall be studying military threats, choice against, when we have threats, what are the choices we have, and the choices are to surrender, to prevent, to defend, and third is balance of power, and the fourth is alliance building. So I shall be discussing all these points in detail and trying to complete the topic properly, so that you can understand this flow chart properly. I have just made this flow chart. This is not in your book, this particular chart, but I have made this so that it shall be very easy for you to understand that yes, you have to understand the meaning of security, then you have to understand that security is divided into two parts, traditional and non-traditional, and traditional is further divided into two parts, external and internal. External subparts, which we are going to study in detail, I have told you these are the four parts. And under internal traditional security, we are going to study communal rights, ethnic conflicts and civil wars, and separatist movements, okay. And this is non-traditional security. Under this, you can see it with this arrow, black arrow. Under non-traditional security, as I told you, these are the new concepts and challenges coming after 1990s which world has been facing. It shall be studied under human and global security, and the subparts will be like problem of terrorism, human rights, global poverty, migration, health epidemics. So this flow chart will finish and help you to understand this chapter properly. So you need to note down and make this flow chart properly to understand the structure of security in the contemporary world. So I shall be studying starting with the details of this chapter now. What is security, what is traditional security, what is external and internal sources of security. Here in this particular part I shall be taking only traditional security and traditional security. In the next part I shall be taking non-traditional security. So you need to focus it. So the first question which arises is, what is security? As I have already told you the meaning of security, again I am repeating here. Security implies freedom from threat, either external or internal. In the very simple terms we can understand, when we are free from any sort of threat or danger, when we feel safe and secure moving out from our homes, whether the threat is from external world or internal problems within a country or within a family or within a community, when we feel free and secure, that is the situation of security. So security implies freedom from threat, either external or internal. Moving forward with this, human existence and life of a country are full of threats. So if you talk about human existence, human life, our life is full of threats and dangers when we move out from our homes. But it does not mean that every single threat counts as a security threat. But every problem which we are facing in the day-to-day life, that cannot be called as a security threat. Security threats will only be counted when the core values of a human or a country or a community have a bad impact on it from any particular threat. So it is all about the core values are disturbed because of some threat, it will be counted under security threats. If you have personal problem with a friend, if you are fighting amongst our family, or any such dangers which are not deteriorating your core values, it will not be counted as a security threat. So that's why it's written here, human existence and life of a country are full of threats, but it does not mean that every single threat counts as a security threat, because security threats will be counted only when core values are disturbed or endangered. Third point here under security is, security protects core values from threatening by preventing. So security will, what is the work of a security? It will protect core values. This is very important word here, core values. If in terms of a country I talk about core values of a country are independence, integrity, unity, sovereignty. In terms of India it shall be democracy, okay, brotherhood. These are the core values of a country like India. Okay, so if the core values of a country like India are disturbed, it shall become under security security threats. Security protects core values from threatening by preventing, limiting, ending the war. So this is the work of security. It will prevent, limit, and end the war to save the core values of a particular place. Threats at home. So at home also we have some threats and dangers, like explosion of a cylinder can explode. This is also a threat to our life. Similarly, threats can be at market. So some threats when we move out from our home, there can be some threats like market. There can be certain accidents, rail accidents, traveling in plane, there can be plane hijacks, plane accidents. So these are also some of the threats which humans face when we move out from our homes. But the recent phenomena which have been coming up after 1990s are some others like poverty, unemployment, flood, drought, environmental pollution, global warming, terrorism. These are also the reasons for threats. Threats are not only the dangers which are human made or the human are hurting or attacking on each other. These are also the problems and the new concepts coming up after 1990s which humans feel these are the we can say threats to human existence on this earth. The problem of poverty, unemployment, flood, natural disasters, I can say flood, earthquake, droughts, environmental pollution, because of the so much of economic activities going around in the metropolitan cities and developing nations and developed nations. because of the growing economy and development, there is a lot of environmental pollution and degradation. Global warming is a recent problem going around the world, and we are trying to solve this problem as a whole, as a global world. Terrorism is the most dangerous situation around the world at this particular moment, and all the countries together are trying to fight this problem of terrorism, and all are the reasons. So these are also the reasons for the threat to human existence on earth now. So these are the dangers and threats to human existence on earth. And what do we mean by the term security? Security implies freedom from threat. When we are secure and free and we are getting the freedom from threat, that situation is called security. So in this chapter we are going to study about that, how in the contemporary world after 1990s we are trying to bring security to the world, to bring peace and development along with it. Seventh is, we want to secure from all of them. So all these threats, and we want to secure human from all these threats. Okay, we will study one by one in detail in this chapter. So these are some of the threats, we can say traditional and non-traditional sources of threat, which we will be studying in this chapter, and I shall be discussing it one by one in detail. So this is the complete meaning of security in the contemporary world. So here, security is of two types. As in the flow chart I told you, kinds of security: traditional security and non-traditional security. So here, security is of two types. Traditional security. What do we mean by traditional security? Of course, under traditional security, we will be studying external traditional security and internal traditional security. But what do we mean by traditional security? That is ancient, or we can say old style methods of security. In this notion, the greatest danger to a country is from military threats. In this, under traditional security, we shall be studying, this is a country like India, this is Pakistan, this is China. So what are the greatest danger and the threats to India? This is Pakistan, this is China. They can attack India, they can also attack India. So India is having the most dangerous danger from countries like Pakistan and China, which can attack India from outside. So this is called military threat. So India is having the military threat from Pakistan and China. Like this, we can take the examples worldwide. So this is the simplest example which I have given you. It is written in this notion, the greatest danger to a country is from military threat. So a country has a danger of attack from outside because of the military threat. So after traditional security, other one is non-traditional. What do we understand by non-traditional? In this notion of security, we go beyond military threats, the threats and the dangers to human existence on earth beyond military. Apart from military attacks, there are certain other type of threats and dangers to human, to include a wide range of threat and dangers affecting the condition of human existence. So there are other sorts of problems coming up to human life other than military threats. In terms of we can say poverty, unemployment, natural disasters, global warming, terrorism. These shall be under non-traditional, we can say. Okay. So now I have told you the meaning of traditional security and non-traditional security. These were just the meaning, and now in this topic I shall be studying in detail about traditional notion or traditional security. That is the ancient method of security around the world, in which we have the danger from the other countries in terms of military attack from outside. Like I told you the example of India, China and Pakistan. So that's why first point is written here, threat from neighbor country. In traditional notion, external, that is from outside. External means from outside. The threat or the danger to a country from outside, external, is from neighboring country. The greatest danger to a country is from foreign military attack, like India, Pakistan, China. So India has the danger and the threat from the foreign military threat. So it is always ready to fight against it, to defend itself. Military actions also endangers life of ordinary citizens. When there is a military attack from outside, it is not only the harm of military people, but the life of common people, citizens around the border areas are also have a bad impact on it. Lot of lives are given, life and property are given in it. In a war, soldiers as well as civilians will be hurt or killed. Same, it's written. It's not only the soldiers, but civilians will also be hurt and killed. Endanger core values of unity and independence. As I told you, the meaning of core values, that is unity and independence, integrity and democracy. Okay, these are the core values of a country which are endangered because of the outside attack from a military of other country. So this comes under traditional notion of external. So when there is an attack from outside, government has three basic choices to defend or attack its enemy. As in the first part I told you, this is the threat to a country from military attack. When there is a military attack to any particular country like India, if China or Pakistan attacks India, what are the choices government has? So these are the 1, 2, 3 choices which a country or a government has to defend itself from a military attack from outside. This is coming under traditional security notion. So government has three choices to surrender without facing any war. First choice which our government has from a outside attack of a military attack from outside, a government will surrender without fighting or defending itself against the military attack from outside. Second option will be to increase the war to the unacceptable rate and the other party will not think of a war. To threaten the other country to in terms of unacceptable level, to increasing the cost of war to a level in which it shall not be affordable to the other country. Like if India has been threatened by Pakistan for a war, but India can show Pakistan that it is going to extend the war to such a level that lot of cost of money will be required to fight such a long tenure of war. In this, other country is backs up and does not want to fight. So this is the other method of war to unacceptable level that other party will not think of war. And third is to protect itself in the war so that the objective of the attacking country is not fulfilled. In this, we defend ourselves, we fight the war, and we stop the other countries from achieving the objectives for which it has attacked our country. So in this third, we will not allow the country attacking us to fulfill its objective. Okay, so these are the three choices which a country or a government has once there is a military action against a particular country. These are the three choices a country or a government has. This we are studying under traditional security. As I told you, it is divided into two parts, external and internal. We are studying external. First was military threat. Second point is government has three choices. These are the three choices. And the third point is balance of power. What do we understand by balance of power? When we see our neighboring country, when as a country like India, when we see our neighbors India, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, so these are the countries neighboring India, we get an information of a country is stronger. So we have all the information regarding all the countries neighboring our country, which is weaker, which is very strong, and in future which country can be endangered for us and which can attack us to fulfill its objective in political, economic or social terms. So in this way we have to be ready to cope up with the power of our neighboring powerful countries. So in this we have to make good international relations with them, but along with it we have to balance our power according to the stronger country in terms of economy, military and technology. So if India thinks that China is growing economy and growing developing country around the world as a current scenario, so we have to see in future China can attack us, so we have to make a strong economy which can be as equivalent or around 80 to 90% of China. Along with it we have to also improve the our military and technology. So these are the situations where when we see around us which country can be endangered in future for us, although maybe in future we are having a good relations with them, but this is international arena. Here a lot of brutalities are done and there are no such friendship of a thing. They are the objectives which we have to fulfill from each other. So we have to make our economy, military and technology as strong as our strongest country nearby us. So this is balance of power. We have to balance our power according to the strongest country which can be endangered, can be an endangered country in future to us. So under traditional notion of security, external we were studying the attacks and the dangers which we have from the outside world, from the other countries outside. This is the fourth point, alliance building. What do you mean by alliance? Alliance, by making alliance system, we can make strong power. Making a group, as after we can see after the Second World War, when there was a situation of Cold War, there were two groups, US and USSR. They were backed up by the two alliance, and US had the alliance of NATO, and USSR was backed by Warsaw Pact, which was ready to fight against the forces of NATO. So when we have an alliance, we make ourselves safe and secure with a particular group which have the same ideologies as we have. So that's why it's written here. By making alliance or a group system, we can, or we can say it is a collision of countries or groups to live safely or to protect itself from the military attack from outside. So we can make strong power. Together they can be strong. Many countries include in alliance and do defend against military attack. So they make an alliance to defend against their military attack from their enemy. Most alliance are formalized in written treaties and agreement. Whenever there is an alliance, there is a collision of group of countries against a particular enemies or military attacks. It is formalized in written treaties. Treaties and agreements are signed between those countries. Alliance are made to increase the power of countries. So because of this alliance, if small countries, they know that they don't have the capacity and capabilities to fight a powerful countries or the most developed countries around the world, but they make small groups, as we have already done in this book. We have read about NATO, Warsaw Pact, European Union, we have done ASEAN, then we have studied about SARS. So these are some of the, we can say, alliances to promote peace and development. Along with defense and security, they also look forward together to promote peace and development all together. Alliances are based on national interest and can change when national interests change. So when the alliances and the coalitions are made at a particular time, they have an interest and objectives to have gains from each other. But in the changing context of time, these interests can change. Like I can say militant groups of Afghanistan in 1980s were supported by US against USSR, but same militant groups backed by Osama bin Laden in 2001, they attacked US. So these, we can say, there is a change of national interest with the change of time and situations. These alliances and their interests can change with time. So in the next video, we shall be doing traditional notions, internal. Just now we have studied the external problems which we are facing from outside our country, what all the problems we are facing, like military threats, and what when there is a military attack, what are the plans and policies of government, the three choices we have studied here. And then we have studied about the balance of power, that how we have to balance our power according to the neighboring countries around us which can be endangered in future to us. Then we have studied about the alliance building with the neighboring countries and the countries which have the same ideologies like us. So in the next part, I shall be doing traditional notions, but internal problems of a country, of a state, of a community. What are the internal problems which a country is facing? Till then, thank you.